be related to or are related to the use of pesticide, and it may be that there is a specific reference to the use in pesticide and the resulting residues in milk. So the food control is looking from a different perspective, and food control is the perspective that you rather have if you import something into Europe. So we cannot look on how you produce in detail on how you produce your food in Thailand. So our first contact with the food coming from Thailand would be, we would be looking at the food as it is and maybe finding a residue, and then that would trigger maybe a rapid alert. So we look at this from this perspective, and we will first employ obviously the relevant residue MRLs that we have established. And if we don't have MRLs, then we get this kind of problems that we had in the past, for instance with the chloramphenicol. And we have tried to address that problem that we find some of the laboratories find very, very low limits that you might be connected also to a sort of a contamination, that we have set reference points for action for these kind of substances that pose a problem after we have investigated into the nature of the problem. Why does it exist? Why do we have it in certain foods also from the outside? And a second step would be, we haven't done that so far, but it's possible to also consider if Thailand has authorized a certain medicinal product that is necessary here in Thailand because you have tropical temperatures and things like that, and you would have a dossier that can be evaluated according to our rules, that we would also be ready to consider this and put the residue of the substance in our residue list, and that in the future you wouldn't have any such problems anymore. And this overlap is also still reflected in our control legislation, which will be reviewed in the next couple of years. It's already under preparation, so we are first of all reviewing our control legislation, which will establish an enabling provision that we can revise also this list. Because if you see the list in Annex 1, which is still the guidance for control, you will see that there is a mix of all kinds of substances which are coming from all kinds of directions, and which is linked then to, in other parts of this directive, to sampling plans, which are not really up to date anymore. So we will put this also under test and consider its relevance today with a revised legislation behind it. And if you look at this, there are several substances which are also used or are not really substances which are normally residues, but are rather more or less contaminants or even chemical elements. So the idea is to make that more flexible, to say, rather have a risk approach to analyze what are the temptations in the production. When I produce poultry, what is the sort of substances that are attractive for me that will either address a specific problem that I have in poultry or is from an economic point of view a temptation. So rather look at this from this perspective and then make more flexible control patterns where you don't have to go to look into certain specific substances, a specific list like this, but rather have an updated program that can also be discussed with the trade partners maybe before, so that it is rather looking at the substances which are really a challenge at that point in time. Thank you.
Thank you. ครับก็เขาก็พูด farm to fork ของเขาเราก็อะไรนะฮะของเรานี่อะไรนะฮะ farm to table ใช่ไหมครับจำได้หรือเปล่าเมื่อสมัยก่อนเราพูดว่าเขา farm to fork เราบอก farm to table คือเขาเข้าปากแล้ว fork แต่ของเรายังอยู่บนโต๊ะอยู่นะครับโอเคไม่เป็นไรฮะเคลียร์ไหมครับแล้วก็ substance group นะครับเขาก็จะมีแบ่งแยกเป็น pesticide whatever biocide ผมสงสัยเขาเหมือนกันว่าbiocide เขาไอ้พวกยาฆ่าเชื้อนะฮะให้ความสำคัญแล้วนะแต่ของเราจดทะเบียนหรือยังไม่รู้ คุณหมอสศิจดแล้วนะครับโอเคครับแล้วก็การคอนตามิเนตต่างๆนะครับแล้วก็ในเรื่องของถ้าเขามองผมเป็นสไลด์ไอ้แฮนด์เอาท์หน้า3เนี่ยที่ objective เขาคืออันนี้สำคัญที่สุดนะครับ high level ของ human health นะครับแล้วก็ consumer interest animal welfare animal health แล้วก็ plant health environment นั่นคือสิ่งที่เราต้องคำนึงถึงนะครับโอเคไหมครับนอกนั้นเขาก็คุยถึงเรื่องบทบาทนะครับว่าโอเคเขา risk assessment ของเขานี่เขาดูอย่างไรนะครับ accept ไม่ accept เขากลับมาเรื่องไอ้ที่เราคุยกันเมื่อกี้นี่อีกนะครับว่าทำไมเขาจะดูตามความเหมาะสมนะครับแต่ว่าก็คงคุยกันไม่ได้ถ้าคนนี้บอกว่าให้ของกู6 คนก็พอแล้วอีกคนนึงบอกเฮ้ยไม่พออะไรเงี้ยก็ไม่ต้องคุยกันสักทีใช่ไหมครับเพราะฉะนั้นก็คงต้องมาดูว่า reality เป็นอย่างไรนะครับโอเคไหมครับแล้วก็นอกนั้นเขาก็พูดถึงเรื่องแต่ละอันความMRL ต้องมีทั้งหมดนะครับถ้าไม่มีเขาอาจจะ apply จากถ้าบ้านเรามีต้องใช้ยาอะไรหรือใช้ไม่ใช่ยาพูดผิด substance อะไรวันนี้เราจะไม่พูดผิดนะครับโอเคไหมครับว่าอันไหนเป็นยาไหนเป็น additive โอเคไหมครับวันนี้เขาพูด substance นะครับ substance ก็อยู่ใน additive นะครับวันนี้เรากำลังพูดลักษณะของการใช้ต่างๆนะครับpharmacological ด้วยเขาก็บอกมานะครับเพราะฉะนั้นเรากลับไปนี่ take home message ต้องเป็นว่า additive is additive not medicated โอเค different ครับก็มีคำถามอะไรไหมครับรู้สึกเหนื่อยๆนะเนี่ย so if they're still thinking about the question I have a question you talking about the biocide right how about the formaldehyde I heard that you banned for the formaldehyde using no please formaldehyde yes.
It's an approved feed additive. It's still an approved feed additive. Currently, EFSA is making an assessment, a re-evaluation of formaldehyde. So we will have an opinion by the end of this year. And depending on the outcome of the opinion, the Commission will take the appropriate decision. But it is still a feed additive.
I see. So formaldehyde ก็เป็น feed additive อยู่นะครับแล้วก็เขาจะ consider you said you in the process of
Re-evaluating.
Re-evaluating.
We are at the end of the re-evaluation. We will finalize, I think, most probably in December, in the plenary that we will have in December. And then the Commission will take the appropriate measure.
Okay. About the chlorine, the case of the chlorine, you remember? U.S. again. I'm talking about the U.S. and EU again. You're aware of the chlorine? Yes, chlorine.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Yeah, my pronunciation bad. Chlorine. Okay, chlorine. So.
This is not related to feed additives and is not related to pharmaceutically active substance, but is
Biocide.
It could be considered a biocide.
Yes.
So what you're referring is that the U.S. is still using chlorinated water to put either to treat beef or to also for poultry. It's often
Poultry,
used.
yes.
What we called in former times in Europe the spin chiller, where it is used where the poultry goes into one side into a cooling device, which is in this case using chlorinated water, which is highly chlorinated. It's not normal drinking water, but a lot of chlorine. We have abandoned that system in the past because we considered that the residues of chlorine would be too high and not necessary. In fact, what our approach is, we try to be as good as possible at every level of food production in order to avoid to have to use additional substances to make good for bad hygiene before with additional substances. So that is more or less related to the European approach that we rather avoid having to use certain substances if it's not necessary. And here we think it's not reasonable to use that. And that's why we have been rather reluctant to accept that. You can argue from the other side and say the most important thing is that it is somehow safe and better than if you have once in a while a salmonella or an E. coli on the meat, you rather dip it into the chlorine. I think you have to, in order to understand our position, is really that we try to use as little chemicals in the food as possible. And this is the whole approach that we have. We have presented that to you with the additives, that we really require a technological need for a certain additive that has to be acceptable. And it has been a long dispute on this, and obviously it's also difficult for us, as we have spend a lot of money, and the member states have to spend a lot of money, the industry has to spend a lot of money to approach, to end up with not using these substances, that they now have to accept that from someplace else that is used again, somebody else is doing, cutting corners on hygiene as we would see it.
เคลียร์ไหมครับเมื่อกี้ผมถามคลอรีนเราออกเสียงคลอรีนเขาออกเสียงคลอไรด์นะครับ ผมต้องเปลี่ยนใหม่แล้วเนาะโอเคป่ะก็ที่บอกว่าใช้เพราะว่าเขาใช้คล้ายๆทาง US ก็บอกว่าเขาใช้มาตรการนี้กีดกันในการที่จะนำเข้าไก่จาก US อะไรประมาณนี้นะครับอันนี้เขาก็บอกเหตุผลมานะครับว่าทำไมเขาถึงกีดกันเพราะว่าเขาจะพยายามที่จะใช้เคมีคอลให้น้อยที่สุดในเนื้อถูกไหมครับเพื่อผู้บริโภคนั่นก็คือ food safety ถูกไหมครับ so one more question I think this question we already answered that why the product we have to use the product BSA products in Europe why not the product that register in Thailand cannot be used you don't I mean except for the standard of the Thai FDA or not อันนี้ตรงๆเลยครับเดี๋ยวเสร็จได้เลย
because you know we have this brand authorization.
It's we come back to the brand specific approvals and to these products are linked with the holder of an authorization. So we need in Europe, and according to the requirements of the regulation, we need that someone is responsible and the product is associated with the holder of the authorization. No other product similar to this one, unless we have another holder of authorization, will be accepted in Europe. This is, again, the same situation that we explained this morning with the coccidiostat or with the enzymes, the zootechnical additives.
ครับเขาก็ตอบนะว่าถ้ามันมีหมายถึงว่าของเราก็มีอยู่ในประเทศเราประเทศเขาก็มีเขาก็ต้องเอา BSA ไว้ก่อนแต่ถ้าประเทศเรามียาที่เขาไม่มีเลยก็ต้องมา consider ก็หมายถึงว่าเขาพิจารณาได้นะก็ยื่นไปเลยอย่างเมื่อกี้ถ้าจำได้ครับเขาก็พูดถึงเรื่องออสตริชในหมายถึงนกอะไรออสตริช นกกระจอกเทศดูสิหยุดไปเลยนะครับหมายถึงว่าถ้ามียาอะไรที่ใช้นะครับแล้วไม่มีในบ้านเขาก็จะยอมรับถูกไหมครับไปพิจารณานะครับโอเคนะครับไม่ใช่เขาไม่เชื่อเรานะโอเคเปล่าไม่ได้ไม่เชื่อ FDA บ้านเราครับมีคำถามอื่นอีกไหมครับ Dr. Sasi you have any question but we still have plenty of time huh? 10 more minutes This is my job, huh? Please. Okay. If they have no question, I would like to ask regarding the. Actually, we did already regarding the prescription of the anticoccidial. You said you classify anticoccidial as a feed additives, so no need to get any prescription, right?
As a feed additive.
Yeah, as a feed additive.
Yes, as a feed additive, yes.
But the auditor, I mean, they audit us and they said, where is your prescription? I mean, from the veterinarian. I'm the president of the association. I have to ask.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
what can we do? I mean, we said it's a feed additive, or as you mentioned.
I cannot comment on the specific case because I don't know the details, but why the colleague has asked that maybe. But you can have coccidiostats, which are also veterinary medicinal products, depending on what is the presentation of the product. So
In the feed.
You can have feed additives, you can have medicated feed with coccidiostats, or you can have veterinary medicinal products. The last two need a prescription. The feed additive use not, and it depends really on the details on how that product was used.
I see. Okay,
So
I
I would have
can
to-
explain to you. I can explain to you. Normally, we just put the feed additive, the anticoccidial, in the feed.
Yes.
Certain
Feed additive.
follow your recommendation.
Okay.
Okay, and we withdraw as your recommendation. Even worse, the authority asked us to withdraw at least 10 days or 7 days, whatever, any anticoccidial. You see, and we follow that. And one day the auditor just coming in and said, "What is your anticoccidial?" The vet cannot say anything. He say, "Oh, they follow for the feed mill. They just put it in such a thing." Yeah, we realize that. We have to know. I mean, in terms of the vet, that control for the farm, we realize that we have to know. That's why we said, okay, no problem. We asked the feed miller to let us know what anticoccidial, what kind of anticoccidial they put it in. Certain level comply to EU official journal or not. Yes, they said yes. Everything okay. That's fine. Another auditor coming to us again said, "You have any prescription?" We said, "Do we need it?" They said, "Yes, the vet have to get the prescription for the anticoccidial." Yeah. So this is the detail. Huh?
Yeah, no.
Gudrun, please help me.
I think no, probably no specific answer to this. Yes, we can use it, coccidiostat, as feed additives or as veterinary medicine. So I don't have any recommendation. So just to respect the maximum levels and to
So
respect
can
the
we say that, well, we
recommendations.
put it as a feed additive? Can we say that? I mean, if the auditor come to me.
I don't know how I am not
About
auditing.
Gudrun?
I'm not
Yeah,
auditing.
Gudrun, how?
I mean, if it's always a good idea if you are not happy with what an auditor is saying, to ask him, why are you thinking that? And that's first of all the question, and then have them explain why they think you use this as a medicinal product. And I cannot really comment on
I see.
whether
You-
the colleague is right or wrong without knowing the details on
Okay.
this. I would always do that in any circumstances if I'm expected. Maybe that's also because I'm German, because my compatriots are very keen on also always understanding why they are under a certain regime, yes or no. I see that in other cases as well. But I think it's always good to try to not say he's wrong or I'm right or so, but try to understand where the person is coming from. And it might always be that there is a misunderstanding. And this is not a correct comment. That happens once in a while because people presume something that is not there.
Okay.
So ask the colleague or ask in the Thai government in the resulting closing meeting, if you cannot address that before, to explain why they thought that this is used wrongly without prescription.
Okay.
Clarify the issue.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gudrun. I think I got some idea to explain to the auditor. It depends what kind of auditor. I mean, which country they come from, or Thailand, or whatever. We have to comply with the law. You said, right? Yeah. Okay. So, any question, please? If not, I will hand you over Ladies and gentlemen, please clap your hand. Thank you for our guest speaker. It's very informative, Claudia and Gudrun.
And thanks to you too for this fantastic, yes, and this very interesting day.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Yeah, the colleague has really a highly contagious smile.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have found today's presentation informative and useful. I would like to express our sincere thanks to Dr. Claudia Loncancio-Benier and Dr. Gudrun Gauha for being our keynote speaker today. And also, we would like to thank you, Dr. Sumet Sapchugun, for being our moderator for the whole day. Please give them a big hand once again. Hold on just a minute. ค่ะก็ขอขอบพระคุณท่านวิทยากรนะคะทั้งสองท่านแล้วก็ขอขอบพระคุณนายท่านสุเมธนะคะสำหรับการขัดข้องทางเทคนิคนิดหน่อยค่ะสำหรับการเป็นโมเดอเรเตอร์ให้เราในวันนี้นะคะแล้วทางนี้นะคะงานนี้จะค่ะและงานนี้นะคะจะสำเร็จโดยไม่ได้เลยถ้าขาดทุกท่านนะคะที่เข้าร่วมการสัมมนาในวันนี้ขอขอบพระคุณมากค่ะทั้งนี้นะคะอย่าลืมนะคะว่าทางสถานทูตของเราค่ะได้อัดวิดีโอของการสัมมนาในวันนี้นะคะทุกท่านสามารถดาวน์โหลดได้ที่ www.thaieurope.net นะคะตั้งแต่วันที่ 7 ตุลาคมเป็นต้นไปค่ะขอขอบพระคุณทุกท่านค่ะ อีกครั้งนะคะสำหรับแบบสอบถามนะคะขอให้ทุกท่านกรอกแบบสอบถามแล้ววางไว้ที่โต๊ะนะคะเดี๋ยวจะมีเจ้าหน้าที่ไปเก็บให้นะคะขอขอบพระคุณค่ะขอให้กลับบ้านโดยสวัสดิภาพค่ะ
Lucky I'm in love with my best friend. Lucky to have been where I have been. Lucky to be coming home again. They don't know how long it takes waiting for a love like this. Every time we say goodbye, I wish we had one more kiss. I'll wait for you, I promise you I will. I'm lucky I'm in love with my best friend. Lucky to have been where I have been. Lucky to be coming home again. I'm lucky we're in love in every way. Lucky to have stayed where we have stayed. Lucky to be coming home someday. And so I'm sailing through the sea to an island